Are you new into recovery? Is it your first few days? Maybe it's your first couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months. But either way, you're brand new, you're just getting started, and you're really not sure what to do, where to go. How do you really get started in this program of recovery, changing your life, getting your life back on track, and all the confusion that comes into that, anyone who is struggling with an early recovery process. So if you are in early recovery and you'd like to learn some steps and some techniques that can help you get from your point A to point B, then this video is for you. Hi friend, my name is Bernie from Tiger Resilience, where we offer addiction solutions for family members and friends who have a loved one struggling with an addiction, in addition to helping the person with the addiction. And that's the person I'm generally speaking to right now today. So let me preface myself first. I am a clinician and I've been working in the field of substance use and behavioral health for almost 30 years right now. I'm also a recovering alcoholic who's been in the recovery program for 30 years. So I'm coming from both a professional and a personal experience when I approach this through our programs that we have devised here at Tiger Resilience. So let's get right into it. So what happens in early recovery? You're just started, you're brand new, you're out of the gate, you're starting to feel some senses are coming back. There's three components that I generally highlight when it comes into early recovery. The first part is that you're going to start to feel. You're going to start to feel everything because obviously you're not using a substance anymore that's kind of numbing out that aspects of whatever it is that you're trying to forget about or block or just disengage with, whatever that coping mechanism is. Now you're starting to feel everything, and it really starts to become pretty much intense because it is brand new for a lot of people, especially if you've been using for a period of time. Once you start to feel, then you're going to have to start to deal with it. And that's the part we're going to be talking about today, dealing with, well, what do I do with these feelings? What do I do with where I go right now? I've got a lot of confusion. There's a lot of things that I'm unsure of. I have potentially some things in my past that I have to take care of. They could be personal, they could be professional, they could be based on relationships. There's a multitude of things. It could even be potentially legal, some things that you may have to deal with as well. And all of those factors play in and can be very overwhelming. And in fact, I would also preface to say that one of the greatest challenges with early recovery, I'd say the top four of relapse prevention, when it comes to relapse, top four of them, one of them would certainly be that people become so overwhelmed with early recovery that there's just so much gets thrown at them because they go from the feel and they have to jump right into how to deal with that feeling, and it just becomes overwhelming, and they go back and resort to the old coping mechanism of using a psychoactive substance to change this. So with that being said, dealing with life and dealing with this process is that mid part. So we start with feel, we go to deal, and then once you start the dealing process, that's where you begin to heal. So it's a feel, it's a deal, then it's to heal. So let's first define it. I have a program called the 5 Ps that focuses on creating context and principles for you to follow regarding how do you get from point A to B. And I'm going to be talking about each one of these 5 pillars, as I refer to them as, in the next 5 weeks. Going to do one of these per week. And the first one is purpose. Before we can do anything in our life and anything in our journey, one of the most characteristic things of us as human beings, one of the most powerful things that we need to identify for ourselves is we have to figure out, what is our purpose in life? What is the purpose for us? What is the purpose of being here? What is the purpose of my recovery? What is the purpose of what I'm doing? And it is a powerful, powerful mindset to have, because many people get lost in this whole shuffle of life and going around following other people's agendas, and they lose sense of what their own personal purpose is. And it's really important in the beginning stages for you to be able to kind of hone in and identify, well, what is your purpose? And here's some strategies for you to do so. The very first piece of this, of course, is for you to have some time to look within yourself. Start to recognize and understand what your true values are. What is important to you? What do you value in your life? What are the principles that guide you in that value system? There's a gentleman who wrote a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which I do use a lot of the content over the years because he's absolutely brilliant. And he certainly did not invent this. He just segued it and put it into conventional use after studying human behaviors and leadership skills and personal development for, the past 1,000 years. And again, that's Dr. Stephen Covey. And he refers to this concept of finding our internal understanding of ourselves as a personal constitution. And I always love that because it's kind of like our own personal writing, who we are as people, the individual characteristics of us. So you're defining your value system. What are the principles that guide you? What are the beliefs that you have that you are strong with? What are the beliefs that you are foundational with, in a sense? And when you have those elements together, that's what creates your integrity. And integrity in Latin means into me si. This is who I am. This is the person I am, the whole person. And the reason I'm sharing this right now is because in the very beginning journey, the very first purpose of your purpose is to get honest with yourself and be very honest about it. If you have values and principles that don't serve you and you need to make a change, here's where you have to identify that very quickly and say, you know what? I've been lying for quite a while, but it was never my previous characteristic, but I've been doing it because I've been hiding my addiction. I've been doing a lot of things I shouldn't have done as a result of my addiction. And now I need to figure out what to do in my life. But that doesn't serve me today. And that's not who I was. So that's a system and a piece of your system right now that you're going to change. You're not going to use that. You're not valuing lying anymore. Now you're going to value honesty and you're going to incorporate that into it. So this is why I'm saying that you need to get very much self-reflective into who you are here and what's going on with you here, 100% honest. And it's okay for any of the faults. It's okay to have any of the challenges that you've had to overcome. It's okay to just be not right all the time, to be wrong. It's okay for us to fail. It's okay for us to learn from our failures and how when you fall down in order to get up, right? You learn to get yourself back up. And that's what any errors are in life. I hate to really use the word failure. It's really learning what doesn't work. And when you understand what doesn't work, you look and define to try and find out what does work. So those components are very important, is to define your purpose, is to find out your value system and realign it if you need to. Again, going back to that statement I mentioned before about just honesty itself. Find out what are the principles that guide you. What are those foundational pillars in your life that give you the guidance that you have and you need. And that will all be tied into what are your beliefs. If you believe that you cannot do something, then everything going forward is going to be that restriction to you. What's going to happen is that you're going to be looking through that lens in your life with that not sure if I can do it. I might not be capable of it. You're giving yourself kind of a check mark of, well, I might not be capable of this, and therefore it's going to be something I'm not able to accomplish, or I'm not going to be able to pursue, or whatever it may be. You need to understand those very clearly right up the front, and don't put yourself into that position where you're making these false claims, because we are what we think we are. Your life is exactly what you think it is. So when you say you can't do it, you're right, you can't. If you say you can do it, you're right, you can. So it really is that simple. I use a term quite often in all my programs and with the patients and clients that I work with called that energy will flow where your focus goes. Energy flows where your focus goes. Wherever it is that you focus on, everything about you innately goes into that direction. So be very careful on what you focus on. Put the right words in your vocabulary. Put the right words in your heart. Put the right words in your mind. Have the right attributes of who you are and the potential within you. And don't look at the negatives, because again, wherever you focus on, that's where you're going to go. And as you're doing this, you will continue to define your beliefs, and your beliefs will change, because now you're going to be able to see, prior to your substance use, before you got into recovery, you thought it was impossible. Now here you are in early recovery, and you just realize, well, I've just crossed that bridge. This isn't necessarily impossible. This is possible. And all of a sudden, that means if this is possible, anything else can be possible. And that's the actual truth of life. The only barriers that are truly in life are the ones that we create for ourselves, that we put in our own way. Again, self-talk is a big part of this. If you say, I can't, you're right. If you say you can, you're right. Please understand that very clearly. It's a powerful way to think about your life going forward. And then once you've done that, then now what do? We've got our purpose. We have our values. We have our beliefs. We have the pillars of our principles that guide us now. I have that personal constitution written. What do I do now? Well, now it's to define what is your purpose based on the roles in your life. What roles do you have in your personal life? So, and I'll use myself as an example. As a role, I have a role to myself, first and foremost. My body, my mind, my heart, and my spirit. I call them the 4 human domains, the human condition, as I often refer to it in my programs. So those 4 elements, those are me. That's what I have a role to. I have a role as a husband. I have a role as a father. I have a role as a sibling, a brother. I have a role as a friend to others. I have a role as an employee. I do some contract work with another organization. I have a role as an employer. I also run this business, Tiger Resilience. I have a role to my community, the things that I do in my community. We run a nonprofit called Stages Arts Initiative, and we do art and music outreach for a lot of different programs. I have a role to those in my life and the relationships, those friendships. All of these roles have very specific kind of purposes. My role and my purpose as a father is a little bit different than my role as a husband, but there are some crossovers. And my role as a husband is definitely a little bit different than my role as somebody who works as an engaged contractor or an employee working for another organization, as it is a different role as it is for my own business here at Tiger Resilience. These roles have very, very specific purposes, and defining your roles will help you define the purposes of each one of those roles. And that's where you set up the goals. That's where you can set up the mindset and the plan to get started. And that's where this all begins. This starts with, where am I going to be going? You've been able to define your internal characteristics. Once you define these now and you have your roles, you have your personal constitution and what you're doing, my real encouragement here is get busy writing this out. Please write this down. And when I say write, I don't mean to use electronic tools such as your smartphone or tablets or computers. They're great resources. I'm a nerd at heart and I use a lot of technology. They're just tools though. If you really want to implement some change in your life, my encouragement to you strongly is get busy writing. Write this stuff down. The term psychoneuromuscular is the term that's referred to when we write, the characteristic that imprints back here and it creates that blueprint for us. And it's a really powerful tool. So my encouragement is to write out all the things I'm sharing with you here right now so that you can see it through yourself as both your first person and third person view. You're getting to view your own journey in your life. You're viewing what's important to you. And now you're viewing your roles. You're viewing how those different roles are going to have different purposes. And now you're ready to get set up with a plan, which is what we're going to talk about in our next video. So this is the very first part of getting started in early recovery. Define your purpose. What is your purpose? Why are we here? The big underlining word here is why. And we'll talk a lot about that throughout this program as I go over the next 5 weeks with these different elements. The why is a very powerful question for everything we do in our life. If you answer the why, you'll have a solution for everything. If you don't have a strong why on why you're doing something, if that why isn't fundamental to you, the chances are that you're wasting some time on things that aren't important, and you should be working on more important things to you if you want to go to the direction you want to go in, whatever that may be for yourself. So I'd like to thank you once again for stopping by and for taking a moment out of your busy life to review this content. I would also encourage you strongly to please consider subscribing to this channel so that you can get the notifications on the videos as they're coming out over the course of the next 4 weeks. This is the first video of 5, and the course of these next 4 videos going forward will kind of encompass my entire program, my life skills program, that will help you see how you can get from A to B and be able to maintain this, because it's a growth program. It's about growth. It's not about just getting from one point to another. It's about the perpetuation of moving forward in your life. So again, I hope that you found some value in this. Also, if at least consider liking this video so we can pay this forward to some other folks that may really could benefit from this. And you're liking that video, self-explanatory, gives the algorithm a chance for it to share with other people like-minded like yourself. I want to thank you once again, though, for your time and taking time in your busy life and schedule. If you'd like to learn more about our different programs, we have stress and anger programs. We have a communication program. I have a gaslight program. It's very specific around addiction challenges, issues, but a lot of our other programs are based also in personal development, because I have also found in substance use disorder, behavioral health, it's not relevant to what the issues are with the individuals. It's the personal growth piece. And I have found that working with personal growth content has been the most powerful tool for anyone who's going through any adversity, any challenges. And addiction is no different than anyone else who's just struggling with life on life's terms. So these programs are extremely powerful. They're very principle centered, and they are extremely practical, which makes it sensible for anyone who can use it. They're engaging because I use multimedia throughout each one of them. But if you'd like to learn some more information, I have the links below describing each one of those programs, and you can learn more about us. Once again, I thank you very much for taking time again out of your busy day. I'll look forward to speaking with you in the next video when we're going to start talking about the actual plan. Today was purpose. The next video we're going to be talking about is plan. I wish you and all of yours nothing but the best today. Have a great day.